Blog Talk Radio.
Recruiting Animal here on March 18th, 2015, March 18, 2015. And I want to tell you about something. The other day, I put up a question on Facebook, and this is what the title was. How many months or years did it take you to get good as a recruiter? And, of course, I got a lot of people claiming that I wasn't being clear. I didn't expect it, but, of course, that's what happened. What does it mean to be a good recruiter, they said. What does it mean? I thought it was obvious. When you get a search assignment, you fill it with someone good in a reasonable amount of time. How much brains does it take to figure that out? And if you want to expand on it a little, you could say that to be good means you make a lot of placements and a lot of money, and your clients are happy with your work. But not everybody agreed with me, and I have to admit, I got some interesting answers. Glenn Cathy, the famous black belt of recruiting, said, or black belt of sourcing, I can't remember what he calls himself. Anyway, here's what he said. He said, you don't have to be a good recruiter to make a lot of money. He said, I know people billing $300,000 to $1 million a year who are better at finding a way to make money recruiting. It can depend on the situation they're in, their relationships, and even their unethical business practices. He also said that there's many recruiters who are very good at what they do who don't make a lot of money. And there, he seemed to be talking about corporate recruiters who don't earn a big fee for every placement. Not only him, another smart guy objected to my title, Donato Diorio. It's not spelled like the cookie. That's his name. Anyway, he brought up a valid point. He said third-party recruiting has three parts: sourcing, recruiting, and sales. And not everybody is good at everything. Some great sourcers aren't good with clients. And someone who is great at sales might not be able to source candidates. That's what Donato said, and he was a great recruiter before he became CEO of his own sourcing software company, okay? And to my surprise, even Jerry Albright said being good does not always manifest itself in your wallet. I've known, he said, many good recruiters that knew more and did more than most, but were not wealthy by any standard. Thankfully, some people actually came up with an answer to my question, and one of them was Glenn Cathy. Finally got around to saying it takes 6 months to get good. He said, whenever I train people, I tell them I learned 90%, 90, of what I know today in about 9 months. 9 months. He also said, I've seen people develop into excellent recruiters in less than a year, out-recruiting people with 10-plus years of experience. I'll go on just a little more. Sandra McCart, another excellent, experienced, seasoned recruiter. She said some people just get it, and with a little bit of training, they're off and running, but others take years. They turn out to be good recruiters, but they'll never set the world on fire. She also said that someone with prior business experience in sales or management has a better chance of getting to be a top recruiter in 6 months. 6 months. She also said that a great recruiter in one niche may be a total loser in another. That's pretty interesting. So you can't really judge skills by the results, if that's true. And I get the feeling that she means there, oh, boy, what was I going to say? I know a recruiter. We all know him. Everybody who listens to this show, he's a smart guy, but when he left his first employer and went out on his own, he went into a new field. And that field wasn't used to using recruiters, he discovered, and he didn't make a lot of money there. So after about a year, he went back to his old niche. the point was it had less to do with the recruiter than the situation he found himself in. I'm stuttering. Sorry. What can I do about it? I could go on, and in fact, I will another time. All I can say is, as of this month, I've been doing this show for 8 years, and I'm still not a good radio host. But Jerry, can you tell everybody what show is this?
This is the Recruiting Animal Show!
You didn't want to shout with the music today.
No, you told me 5 minutes ago, cut that shout off. Shut it down.
I said don't take
what I meant. Impossible to please, dude.
Don't exaggerate it, I said, okay? I mean, and you said, no, I heard everything. You don't like me. You wanted to be short.
No, you told me to cut it down, and I did.
Yeah, but you didn't have to gargle. You usually drag it out so much that, it sounds like you're cleaning your teeth or something like that. Anyway.
All right.
I know you got
dude, you went on way
about.
too long, man. It's worth the 6-minute mark. This is ridiculous.
No, is it really? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I might be. And in fact, I was writing a new one just before the show, a shorter one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I already had this written, so I figured I'd go with it. Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, I've had a big bowl of goldfish staring at me ever since you started. Normally I'm into this at 4 minutes after. It's 12:06. You're still just laying here.
I appreciate the feedback. Why don't we get to the show?
You want to hear it? Listen to him.
Okay. Now, let's see if I know the guest is here. Jeremy Sisemore or Sisemore. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and it's pronounced like it has a Z.
Like a Z. Okay,
Size. Why doesn't it have a Z?
Sizemore.
Yeah, why doesn't it? Why doesn't it?
Someone somewhere along the way, 200 years ago, changed it.
Yeah, okay. Jeremy, do you know, what's it called, Long Black Veil?
Not familiar with Long Black Veil.
Okay, so the alternate, I told you, you pick a song, we'll hum it. Your favorite song, we'll sing it or hum it.
My favorite song?
Yeah. Didn't you prepare for the show? Is that what you're confessing right at the beginning?
I did not rehearse any humming of any songs. No, not familiar with it.
You have favorite? Are you gutless? Is that what you're trying to tell us at the beginning of the show? You're gutless. You can't sing or even hum a song.
Nope, can't do it. I thought we were coming on to talk about a recruiting show.
Shame on you.
We're
Shame
doing
on
American
you.
Idol
You know
today.
what? I knew when you sent me an email that you didn't read any of the literature I sent you. Sorry.
Once again, another guest accidentally presuming this is a recruiting show.
Yeah, I guess the title got me. Well,
okay.
I was actually making money and recurring more than I was reading some email.
Does anybody want to sing a couple of verses of Long Black Veil? 10 years ago, on a cold, dark night. Hey, who's ever on that line there is pretty terrible. Okay, we'll move on because Jerry said I took too much time. Anyway, look, Jeremy, before we get into it, let me ask you: do you agree with Glenn Cathy? Who's
then we
making
just need to get like maybe one of those extended pole.
Who is that?
Umbrella thing.
I don't know. What's the area code?
If you're not talking, mute your phone, please. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. What was your question again about Glenn?
Okay. Well, first I'll get back to him later. Anyway, this guy's name is Jeremy Sisemore, and he
Sizemore with a Z.
Yeah, he owns a company called ASAP or ASAP Talent Services. It's a boutique SAP executive search firm, and we're going to get into lots of details. I think that's really all they have to know right now. What do you say, Jeremy? Anything else you'd like them to know before we get going?
No, I think that's right. I've been in recruiting a long time, and I think to your earlier points that I think almost every one of them was right because it's a complex question about what makes a great recruiter great. Because if you asked a candidate what makes a great recruiter great.
That's not
Their
what I
answer
asked,
is
okay?
entirely-
That's not what I asked. Let me ask the
You
question,
didn't.
okay?
You didn't
Let
ask
me
anything. You just made a big comment.
Questions. Do you agree? I'm going to talk over you. Do you
Hey,
agree?
Jeremy, I like your attitude. Don't take a bunch of crap. If you need to
It was
talk
just a
over
vague
animal,
comment.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
It
got to
was
just
just a vague
badger your
comment.
way to the
Go
top.
ahead and clarify.
People
Go ahead
don't
and
like it
clarify.
when. Let me lead, okay? Do you agree that bad recruiters can make big money, like Glenn Cathy believes?
It depends on how you define bad recruiter, but yes, I do. I think people could be a bad recruiter and make a lot of money if the definition of a bad recruiter was making very good placements that stay at those companies for a long time. So if retention was your one thing that you measured, you could make a lot of placements and those people aren't there 2 years later.
And
you
you're
could
still
make
going to get
a lot
repeat
of
business?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. You're still going to get business?
No, but if people are really, really good at biz dev and they're really bad at making really good placements, they can actually make a lot of money for 2 decades in a row. Make a lot of money. So yeah, that'd be the answer to that. There's
Really?
a very, very real truth. Oh yeah, sure. If you're really good at biz dev, I knew people that were really good at selling retainers all day long. And if your market was big enough that you could just literally go after, say 5,000 to 10,000 companies in North America and just constantly sell retainers, you actually don't even have to be good at fulfillment to make a lot of money.
Let me just check in with Jerry because he shocked me when he
on the biz dev side.
Jerry always says, look, if you can't make more money than me, you can't prove it. You can't disagree with me. But he also said that being good does not always manifest itself in your wallet. Jerry, you want to justify that?
You sure? I don't think Jeremy would disagree. You can be good and not make a bunch of money.
How come?
I think you can find examples. I agree with Jerry that you can find examples of that. So internal recruiters, that could be an example. They could be good at sourcing and recruiting and maybe not make that much money because that's how corporate America sets it up. I do think if they use those same skills and went to an external firm and they were a great candidate recruiter, they could probably make a lot more money. And I think people that are good at full desk, where they can do biz dev and recruiting, are the ones that can actually make the most money. And by a lot of people's standards, would be
okay.
the
You're
best
just talking
and the greatest
blather now.
recruiters.
Let me move on. You're just
No, you can be a good recruiter working in a company. Maybe you're just on a salary and you're okay with that. And you're just a conscientious good recruiter.
This conversation is so subjective until somebody defines what is a good recruiter. And you can't argue it.
You know what?
At the end of the day,
get bogged down in this.
Sorry.
Okay, let me just
I'm
go
out
on.
of here. I love your animal.
No, it's okay. But it's not a.
Get out of here, Newman.
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Newman, do you have you want to say anything?
Freezing.
Oh, there.
No, I got
again.
nothing to add. I just don't think we can have the discussion without knowing who's a good or what is a definition of that, because I think it changes.
I already
That's
said
all.
it. If you didn't listen to my intro, obviously, okay?
I was
you
in a
made
little
a vague
late.
comment. Like what is
I was in a little
vague.
vague.
Let me move on. I'm moving
what the
on,
client think a
okay?
great recruiter is.
I'm moving on. Jeremy, Jeremy, look at me. You say on your LinkedIn profile that you are in the top 1% of most viewed LinkedIn profiles. Isn't that true of a lot of recruiters? Just because they're recruiters, people are always looking at them, and it's really nothing to brag about. Although maybe it helps to pull wool over people's eyes.
I have no idea. All I know is LinkedIn sent me a report that said that, and so I took their word for it.
Because I think a lot of people got it.
We all got that.
You got one too?
Sure.
We all
Sure.
got it.
Sure.
But you know what?
Sure.
Here's where he's smarter than us. We figure, so what? He advertises it. He brags about it. Does it bring in any money?
Yeah, it does. Why don't you guys Google SAP talent acquisition? Google SAP executive recruiter. Just Google it, and you'll see that my LinkedIn page is on page 1. My LinkedIn page is on page 1. Something for free, along with my website, along with press releases. We usually have 5 results on page 1, where most firms have 0, and we have over 10 inbound calls at least every year of companies that call us that we didn't even know about. We convert of our inbound calls. When companies call us, we convert over 90% of them to retained, because the dynamic has changed when a company calls you versus you calling them, asking them for business.
So I just did a search for SAP recruiter, which I think is probably where your basic people would go.
Sure,
I've located McGee SAP recruiters, SAPrecruiterdaily.com, Indeed.com, utechnology.com. I'm looking. I want to find you.
Okay, Jerry, be quiet, please. Okay.
Hold on. Don't tell me to be quiet. Our fantastic guest, and he's a good guy. He said do a search. However, he limited his search terms to what works for him. Nobody's going to go there.
I actually put in over 30, and every one of them don't give the same results, no doubt about it. But if you put in a SAP executive search firm, SAP talent acquisition firm,
okay, Jerry's
SAP,
got a point.
They're going to put in their SAP recruiter.
That's right. You have to put in lots of different terms. What if someone put in SAP Recruiter Texas versus SAP Recruiter New York? All valid points.
I'd like to corner them all, man.
You asked the question, did I make money? And I answered it. Yes, we do. We definitely make more money. We have a better SEO strategy, I think, than most firms, and I think most recruiters do a horrible job at this.
Okay.
I would agree.
Can I lead the show?
It's just now getting good. You want to ruin it?
Step in, lead.
Okay. You also brag that you got SERS, SCERS certified in 2014, and you say less than 60 people in the U.S. are certified employee retention specialists. What's that about?
That is a NAPS certification, if anyone's familiar with NAPS, National Association of Personnel. But they're one of there's very little collective bargaining. There's no lobbyist that represents the recruiting industry in Washington, D.C. Our industry is so new that one of my pet peeves is there's not like really anyone that's formulated a national anything that has any pull. NAPS is trying to do that, but NAPS, certainly run a national conference a lot of people are familiar with. They got local and regional NAPS groups in different states. They have the certification. It's a formalized process.
You know
$1,500
what? You talk too much.
2-day deal.
You talk too much. I don't want to hear about NAPS. I want to know, does this make you money bragging that you're certified?
You didn't ask about money. You said, tell me about
What does it do for you as a recruiter?
Hold on, Jeremy's got a point. He's got a point. He was talking about what you asked him about.
Ask what you say and say what you mean. You're not doing a very good job of that.
Listen to me.
One thing that great recruiters say what they mean and mean what they say.
I'm going to block you. I'll block you. Don't talk over me. The people are complaining about it on Twitter, okay?
Say what you mean. What do you mean to say? What do you mean to ask?
This SERS, does it make you money, and what does it give you the ability to do? And be concise, okay?
Yeah. I can only think of one way that's made me money so far. We just landed a large retained project, and they were looking for some extras, and I told them I would throw in a 2-day retention course for their executive leadership team. It helped me land that project. I can't say that it exclusively did anything, and I haven't yet built anything out.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I haven't yet built anything out directly on it. I've been certified for less than 12 months, but I haven't made a ton of money with it yet.
Okay. Yeah. You also brag that you are a boutique SAP executive search firm with a customer-focused approach to SAP talent acquisition. What does that mean, a customer-focused approach? Who doesn't have a customer-focused approach?
Tons of recruiters don't have customer-focused approaches. I'm going to give you some examples. I used to work for an MRI office. The training taught us to tell them that we focus on permanent placement. That's an example of not being customer focused. It's jamming your model down their throat as opposed to hearing what their needs are and solving their problem. So you want to hear how we do it?
Okay.
Okay, how we do it is we understand what the client's problem or challenge is. If it is in any way related to talent, we try to solve that problem. It can be perm placement, can be contract to hire, can be just pure staff aug, contracting and consulting. And also our pricing model is not fixed. A lot of firms and firm owners will teach all of their recruiters, this is our pricing. They turn down business below that pricing. And sure, everybody should draw a line in the sand, but if they were better at what they did, they would give something to get something. And so, in other words, when you're negotiating and a client wants to be at 20% and you think your firm needs to be at 25%, tell them the only way I could do that is if I had an exclusive and you paid me a $10,000 retainer up front. So now you've kicked out the competition, you've got all the business exclusive, and you've got skin in the game of getting money up front.
Okay,
you have a slightly lower fee.
What if they said, oh, Jeremy, I can see what you want to do a trade-off. Well, I'm not really into that. What would you say?
Look, it's up to each of us to figure out, it's better to walk away from bad business than sign a bunch of crappy clients and go waste your time working these vendor models where you deal with HR only, get a piece of written job description, don't get to talk to the real hiring authority, and then waste your time only to find out that, oh, we didn't tell you we had an internal promotion 2 weeks ago. So we assess the level of the partnership that the client wants, and we reflect our activity based on the level of the partnership. If it's exclusive retained, and we get to deal directly with hiring authorities, we're the only firm on it. Obviously, that stuff's at the top of our hot sheet. So some of it is our own choice of whether we want to work with them. But when we find a good partnership, we want to understand what their needs and challenges are and customize the way that we execute
hold on. Let me ask a follow-up question. Okay,
sure.
So you're offering a wide variety of services. What if you're working for a firm that's only doing permanent placement? If you were going to be a good recruiter, would you find out if maybe they only really need a contract person and advise them to go somewhere else, to Jerry or something like that?
If our client needs SAP talent, we believe we're the best firm in the country that can help them solve that problem. If it's an area that's not in our wheelhouse,
I'm trying to
we'll
talk
send them
circles
somewhere.
around me. Don't talk circles around me, okay?
That's a bit aggressive, Animal. See, this is where you're starting to lose some of your potential guests. They hear that and they think, I don't want that guy talking to me like that. Mellow out a bit.
You know what? I'm like Jeremy.
Mellow out.
He's my client on this show, and if he's going to pretend he's on one of the other shows,
no,
forever, and then pat them on the back, go to those shows.
He's your customer.
Me, okay? I got people.
You're his customer.
The they want reality. Okay, now, Jeremy,
just trying to help
here's what I'm saying. You said you sort of take a consultative sales approach. If you're dealing with a potential client, first you analyze their needs to see, you're not just trying to push a permanent placement on them, but maybe you offer like, a menu full of 12 different kinds of deals. Okay, but what if you're only doing direct, permanent placement? Should you send that person away? That's what I want to know. For someone who doesn't have, the wide variety of offerings you do.
Right. Well, that was the beginning part of the topic. You asked me about being customer focused, and that's what we were talking about. And I gave you the example that a lot of firms jam their very narrow version of what they believe their business model is down the client's throat instead of solving their problem. That's what the whole conversation started about.
I didn't ask for a speech. Yeah. If you gave the example of only, jamming permanent placement down their throats.
Right.
If they call you and they want to get a permanent placement and you really figure out they don't need a permanent placement, are you going to send them away or are you going to give them what they asked for?
Yeah, well, that's up to each person to make that decision. I believe that a lot of recruiters are certainly going, well, we don't do that. So here's what does happen. Is that another firm does do that, and let's say that it's me. Let's say it's ASAP Talent, and I do both. I'm going to start working with that client on the contract side, and I'm going to get all their business because our firm is probably better than 98% of the other firms out there. So if you want to be the firm that wants to do only that, then keep doing it because I'll get your business. If you think you're in the SAP space and that's all you do, because I'll do more than that. I'll solve all their problems when it comes to talent acquisition.
Somebody help me with this guy. He talks fast.
I'm okay with it. See, this is a guy speaking from authority in a niche, or excuse me, in Canada, niche. Okay.
You've got.
So this guy. I mean, he's right on the money. He is probably better than most other agencies. It's all these generalist agencies wandering around out here, just agreeing to any crap relationship, vendor management, all that. He's blowing those people away, as he should be.
Okay,
pick something and master it. That's what he's done.
Jeremy, are you saying that really to take good care of your clients as a recruiter, you have to offer permanent placement and contract services?
I'm saying as much as humanly possible, we ought to change our internal logic in our head and change our paradigm. And it should be that understand your client's needs, and if in any way you can solve it, you should. That's what you should do. And when it's definitely not in your wheelhouse, you should be the one to still help them solve the problem by finding them someone that can. Hopefully someone that's not competing directly with you or that's going to somehow take your business away from you if you want to build long-term relationships with clients.
Okay. Why do you need two businesses? You say on LinkedIn that you're a VP of Business Development and Sales for an SAP consulting firm as well as you're managing your own recruiting firm. How can you do both?
That's a great question. That's actually a great question, and it's very difficult to do both.
Hey there, Judy Cohen.
The reason that's a great question
I'm just fine.
is
How
that...
are you?
Oh, let's listen.
Judy Cohen?
Who's that?
Sure.
Is that Judy at TFI in the background?
Judy Cohen.
Oh. Anyway, it is a great. It's
who they are.
Hey, we've got a chance to listen in on somebody's business call. Let's do it.
There you go, Animal. This is what you've been waiting for.
This is it.
Okay, let's let this guy, and then I'm going to ask Alejandro to.
Okay, what was the great question again? Can you remind some of us that might have been?
Jerry. He's not just running his own headhunting business. He's got a parts business or a consulting business. You tell us about it. He's got another business he's running.
Yeah. So generally, I believe in recruiting industry, you get put into just one of 3 or 4 buckets when you try to do business with a client. One of those buckets is you're a sales guy, you're a transactional placement person, direct placement person.
I think there might be
one bucket is executive.
Now this is kind of weird, and you might be able to weigh in on this. So which house is that? I just looked, and I pulled up the map on Zillow, and on Zillow it says that it last sold for like $174,000 in like 2007.
That's somebody in Texas. I think that's one of your folks, Jeremy.
I have no idea who that is. So. You get put into a bucket. Korn Ferry gets put into a different bucket than, Randstad does, and so on and so on. And then you get put into a bucket of being a consultative salesperson that solves problems. You're more of a consultant. But one of the buckets that is very hard for any staffing person whatsoever in any of those 3 buckets to get into is deliverables. In SAP, there's a whole deliverables side of the industry that Deloitte, IBM, Computer Science Corp, Accenture, they're all playing in that deliverable space. You can never get into that space if they view you as a recruitment person. And so I'm a biz dev person only for a company a guy that I've placed a few times in my industry, and now he owns his own business, and they do deliverables. So if a company wants a project
You're
team
putting me to sleep. Sorry. I just have to stop.
You asked.
Let me move on.
So
I know I asked. Right. I'm sorry I did. Alejandro, you want to talk to this guy? Alejandro.
Okay. What do I want to talk to him about?
You might have a question. No, you don't. Okay.
No, I don't. Not right now.
No, I got another question. He's just hard for me to handle, okay? What do you get out of being in the Pinnacle Society? And I have to point out that I think it was Pauline from Australia asked last week on my Facebook group. She said, what's the point of positioning yourself as a thought leader in recruiting? Now I know you speak a lot about recruiting as well too. So what do you get out of the Pinnacle Society, and what do you get out of speaking to other people about recruiting?
There's just an intrinsic thing that you get about speaking that either it builds you up and makes you feel better about yourself. There's some of that. I love you do like giving back and hopefully making your industry better. I hope the industry is better 50 years from now than it is today, and that we all do a better job because we can
Animal, I missed that. Sorry to interrupt, Jeremy. Is Jeremy a member of the Pinnacle Society?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, because I had a question maybe a couple of weeks ago for Bill Vick, because he was an original part of that. What are the requirements to be in the Pinnacle Society? I know they've changed.
The requirements to be in Pinnacle Society are, first of all, you have to apply, and it's not they don't ask you. You apply. Anybody can go Pinnacle Society website, look at it, look at the criteria, and then you apply. They verify your numbers. Only one time. You don't have to maintain numbers forever to stay in Pinnacle.
What are the numbers, though?
Three out of the last 5 years have to be $400,000 in billings, and the way that's defined is if you're a rainmaker, like guy that does a lot of client development and you use project team members to fill, then if they found the candidate and you found the client, you only get 50% of the fee toward that $400,000. So solo people that truly do the client side and the candidate side, they can count 100% of their fee, but someone that uses like a candidate recruiter is supposed to split it.
So $400,000 attributable to you then?
Truly attributable to you. Some people kind of get that wrong, but so there's people in Pinnacle that they'll say, well, I do $1 million a year, and some of them do. There's people that do $1 million or $800,000, $900,000. A lot of the people that are $1 million or over use project teams, and I don't
see how you couldn't use a project team to get there.
There aren't very many people I know that truly solo $800,000 to $1 million plus. No,
why would you?
It'd be tough.
Wouldn't you rather just pay a couple people to keep it going while you're down in the Caymans?
Yeah. What do I get out of it? I mean, it's you get training. I mean, you get to surround yourself with a ton of people that bill $500,000 to $1 million, and they meet twice a year, every 6 months. You don't have to go to every single meeting. You're supposed to go to like one out of every 2, and so you just Danny Cahill was our education chair for years and years. You Jordan Rayboy, you got John Bartos, you got just the opportunity to get, and it's not all, there's some that are MRI, there's some that are totally solo independent. It's just a hodgepodge. So that, because like when you're in a certain system, like MRI, for example, which I came out of, there's great people in there, but you kind of constantly hear the same stuff. And so it's really cool to be, this is a more eclectic mix of top recruiters that are really, really good at what they do, and you just get to every 6 months go and, put yourself in a situation for 3 days.
How many of them are doing contracting as well?
Not many. In fact, one of my gripes about Pinnacle is I think that the industry's evolved beyond where it was 30 years ago. But it used to be that you were a perm recruiter or you were a staffing contract kind of person only.
Yeah.
And it's evolved to me, but they don't even want to count that. They don't even want to look at that, count that.
See, that's ridiculous. There's a whole crowd of people out there managing small companies
that are killing it. And there's people doing hybrid models. I'm a hybrid guy. Bartos is a hybrid guy. We do everything. And so I think it's probably 20%. I'm just totally guessing here, but it's my gut feeling it's 20%. About 80% are nothing but direct hire. And I'm one
of those hybrid guys, and I can't see why they wouldn't want that kind of input and those kind of people on the mix. Sorry for taking over your show, Animal.
And there's people that are doing contingency, there's people that are doing executive retained only, and then there's people doing blended, so there's a little bit of everything in Pinnacle.
Okay, thanks.
So you go to the Pinnacle Society where you got the top billers there, and you actually learn something. Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. Resoundingly. No doubt about it.
Give us an example.
Only Animal could go to a meeting where people bill $1 million a year and not learn something.
And not get anything.
Okay.
My goodness.
It'd be crazy.
Well,
you're sitting there arguing with people, wanting to know how they get past the gatekeeper.
I got to tell you something. I got on Twitter right now, since Maureen never checks it for me. I'm reading it myself, and there's people saying, "Oh, the host is very yelly today," but I got other people saying, "Look, I'm glad he's calling that guy. I'm blowing smoke up my ass." Or not answering a simple, direct question, okay? Those are the people who know what's going on. I'm not in the wrong here. I want to know.
You're in the wrong.
Yeah, I want to know one thing you learned, okay? And I've got to tell you something else. There's more than one line of morons calling into this show, because I finally caught one of them, and there was still noise was still going. I had to find somebody else.
What was the area code?
No, just let's move on. I want to know what you learned. What did you learn? Quiet, Jerry, please. What did you learn? Tell me one thing you learned at the Pinnacle Society, Jeremy Sisemore.
A lot of times I'll learn a little trick and I'll give you a specific example, but you'll just learn language that people use and man, hey, I could use that. I could make it my own. And so one thing that I do is coming out of Pinnacle was learning how to use metaphors and analogies, right, in selling, and then also how to properly ask the right questions that lead the client to the obvious answer of what you want them to believe. And so here's what it is. Here's the huge thing that I got was just to ask a client every single time to rank in order of importance these three things when they have a search. You're dealing with a hiring authority. Ask them in order, these three things most important to you. How critical is this position to your company? Sense of urgency to fill. And those things are totally different. A lot of people confuse that in recruiting. Critical is the impact that position can have on a business. So a janitor, for example, is not a very critical role. However, it's urgent if you don't have a janitor when the toilet's overflowing. So sense of urgency, critical, two different things. And then the last thing is your perceived cost per hire. And I say it exactly that way. And you have client rank them in any order. It doesn't matter what they say because it totally sets up how you respond. Do you want to role play that with me, Animal? You do that? You do role play?
I'd like.
I love it. The guest asking Animal if he does role plays.
Nice.
I'm going to write this down now. That's good stuff.
Voice this off on me. It's your show. It's your show.
In a new era.
It literally doesn't matter how they. It literally doesn't matter how they respond.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Alejandro. Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Women like
you role play with this guy. You role
play. No. This is your show. I want to hear you do it.
Yeah, you do it, Animal.
Okay, let's do it.
I could just role play with myself. I mean, whatever y'all want to do.
Go ahead, role play with yourself. Do a selfie. Let's do it.
Oh, selfie.
Come on, Animal.
Okay, let me go on.
Animal.
Yeah, okay. Now, you call your company one of the most trusted SAP executive search firms in the United States. Is that like calling it, my restaurant has the best roast beef in town, or is there any substance in that? Like, for instance, if you've got marketing secrets that we should all know just by telling everybody I'm the best, I'm the most trusted, I'm the most exclusive, I'm number one on LinkedIn. Okay, if you do that all the time and it's bringing you business, I want to know it. Or to me, it just seems like what they call mere puffery, okay? And nobody believes it. But other people might. I want to know the truth.
I believe you got to have a fine line between confidence and arrogance or cocky to go out and win business. There's a lot of people trying to win the same business. So are you going to just be forgettable to that client, or are you going to be someone that's memorable? So you got to cross that line. And I encourage people. I love it when companies ask me, "What do you mean by that?" So if you want to put something like that in marketing or in website, you better be prepared to defend it. Okay, and so if a client asks me, I'm gonna look at that client and see where are they located and what industry are they in. SAP is not an industry focus; it's a function focus. So if they're a food and beverage client in Chicago, I can talk to them about how I work with Beam Global, who owns Jim Beam Whiskey, and they're in Chicago, how we place people at Schwan Food up in Minnesota, and how we do work with Pepsi. And they're a food and beverage client. So I want to talk to them about the clients we work with in their geography and in their industry. And if we get into a communication that may lead to a partnership, I would encourage you to talk to some references. We'd be happy to set you up. But if you can't back it up, don't put something like that on there. I can.
Okay, so most trusted doesn't literally mean most trusted. It just means you're good. Okay, so
how do you define that? Talk to my clients.
Okay, let's move on. You also say we place the hardest to find niche SAP skills with our clients. I'm always wondering, people, we've asked people here before, when you're going to a new client, you say, give me your hardest to fill position. Some people say yes. Some people say no. What do I want to waste my time on? Yeah, okay. But how do you fill these super hard to fill positions? How do you succeed where other people can't, or maybe the company can't?
Yeah. Let me speak candidly, since most of us on this call are recruiting industry. I think 80% of your money should be made on much easier to fill roles than that. Every time I know someone that only works on the hardest roles, they hardly ever bill anything, because there's a reason they're like some of the hardest roles possible. But I think in new biz dev, when you're trying to land new accounts, if you expect that you are good in the business and in the industry and you're going to be good, I think it's a great way to convert an account, to get your foot in the door on an account. And then you better show them that you can recruit. And also, you may or may not make the placement, but you better show them you can recruit.
Being a specialist in SAP, their hardest SAP position might not be as big a stretch for you as if it's like a regular generalist IT recruiter, and the company gives that person their hardest SAP, order to cash, technical, whatever the heck. You know what I mean?
That's a super valid point. Honestly,
super
a lot of times
point. Let me write that down.
An internal client may think a job is a whole lot harder to fill than we actually do. You never want to make it seem like something's easy. You're actually you're devaluing your own fee. A lot of recruiters, that's a big pet peeve of mine. They go around talking about, it's an easy search. I could do that for you, no problem. And then they wonder why they have a fee problem when they start getting into the fee negotiation. You should always encourage a client to absolutely think that that's a super tough fill. And then it's a lot easier to get the fee that you want.
Okay. Now, you also say we primarily work with Fortune 500 companies in virtually every industry. Are big companies better customers?
No, not necessarily. It depends. I believe in it's like a stock portfolio. We like to have some Fortune 100 clients, some Fortune 500, but some of the best accounts are the mid-sized Fortune 1,000 or 2,000 that are a little bit smaller, easier to deal with a CIO, easier to deal with VP of HR. But, Coca-Cola, are you going to talk directly to the CIO when you're an executive search firm? Probably not. And so we like to have a little bit of everything in ours. But in the SAP space, a lot of them, like of the Fortune 500, like 480 of them are on SAP.
Okay. Now, what difference? You say every day my firm is recruiting, networking, and placing top SAP talent, director, VP, and CIO searches included. What difference is there from the most senior and the most junior searches? Like, are the most senior really hard, or are they just the same, or are they easier?
The highest level roles are the easiest to fill. It'd be a tragedy if our clients really knew that, because those are the biggest fees. They're the easiest to fill, easiest to find out who they are. You can Google CIO of any big company, and it's just you find it. But if it's a Unix administrator or a .NET person, man, those are hard people to find in a big company. And so I'm talking in IT because that's what I'm in. But I believe the highest level ones are the ones that can shut their door. They have their own office. They're not in CubeLand. Most of them have been placed by search firms multiple times in their career. That's why they're a director or VP. So they know the value of a recruiter and they know how to work with us. But the ones in CubeLand that probably haven't yet been placed by a recruiter are the hardest ones to actually get on the phone and actually have a real conversation with them. So to me, the hardest to fill are the lower level ones.
Okay. Now, but when you're working with these senior people, do you have to be able to sell them the move to justify the value of the move for them, or really are they the people who have the most expertise to say that's going to be a good move for me?
Only from opinion here, but to me, great recruiting is relationship building and understanding what that person loves about what they're doing and what they don't like about what they're currently doing. And if you can't understand someone motivated, way before you start pitching what you got to pitch, like we train our people in our company not to start selling what the opportunity is, because people start tailoring their answer to what they think you want to hear, and then we wonder why it falls apart at offer stage. So if you understand someone's situation, what they love about what they're doing, because they want that in the next role too, but what do they not like about what they're doing? What would they like to see in their next opportunity that they're not getting where they're at now? And then if they happen to describe what you have, you got to fit. Then you got to fit.
Okay. Now, what I like, first of all, congratulations. Your answers are getting better. Okay. And but you said something before with regards to the Pinnacle Society that I liked. You said you're interested in hearing specific words that you can use. So I get criticized on this show for asking this question, but how do you cold call somebody then? Because obviously you're calling somebody because you're working on a specific search, but you don't start off talking about your search. How do you start off?
Sure.
What do you say to them?
Yeah, great question. First of all, I try to make as few cold calls as possible. So everything I do throughout my whole day is how to make warm calls. So use your market intel to always have, even when it's someone that doesn't know you, that's how some people define a cold call. Okay, they don't know you, they don't know I'm calling.
Yeah.
But if you have people in common, if you know something that's going on at their company that people external to them should not know, it makes people sit back and go, how the hell do you know that? Like, recruiters have great market intel, but a lot of us don't use it right. So that's how I make my calls really warm. So it gets people. You got 30 seconds to get them to either they're trying to hang up. The moment they find out, oh, they're like, crap, I shouldn't even answer this call. Salesperson, recruiter call. Why did I even pick up? But if they do, and you get lucky enough to get them, you got 30 seconds to get them to sit back in that chair. And it better be something like, hey, I understand that Bob Jones just resigned last week. In other words, he's still there and he ain't even left yet. His seat ain't even cold. And he went to make a move, and they'll ask you things like, how did you know that? It's our job to know that. I'm focused in nothing but SAP, and that's a really, really tough to role to refill. So that could be a biz dev example. On the candidate side, you would do something along the lines of, you might talk to them about a position that's exactly like the one that they're in that you just placed 90 days ago in the same location that they're in. And give them some market intel that sets you apart from other people, because you know what? When you sound exactly like everyone else, it's just blabber. And so blabber is, I focus in, I'm great at, we're one of the top firms that does. If whatever you say sounds like 95% of everyone else, you are market chatter and nothing else.
Okay, can you actually give us some of the words you use that you, let's say, imagine you're calling somebody, because you do call do call people, and do you use voicemail? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you use voicemail? Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. A lot of people back in the day, they said you catch them live or don't leave a voicemail at all. So what we do, I think, recruiting is different than it was 10 years ago. It's way different than it was 20 years ago. So we hit them every which way to Sunday. We email them at work and personal. We call them at work and cell if we have all this. We might LinkedIn email them if we have to. And then we do leave a voicemail. I'm a believer that less is more. Create curiosity, create a sense of urgency, but never get into a situation where you have roofed someone. Recruiters that do that, if that's how you want to start your very first call with someone that you might be able to place not only once but multiple times throughout your career by lying to them, then go for it. But we don't.
What do you mean?
I don't teach my.
What kind of lying?
What
are we talking about?
Roosing.
Lying.
Jeremy, I'll give an example.
Yeah, go ahead, because recruiters do it. You guys all
know. Well-known
right.
Industry trainer. I've seen the same guy suggest this same way to create a mystery to get a potential customer to call you back. And there it is. Animal. Hey, it's Jerry Albright. I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard this by now, but in the off chance you don't know what I'm calling about, I'd like to bring you up to speed. My number is 260-347-1715. If you can call me back by 3 o'clock, as this is time sensitive, I'd appreciate it, and I'll clue you in when you call. Thanks.
Yeah, that'll piss someone off when they finally do call you back.
But that's a well-known industry trainer still spouting that crap.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay, but Jeremy,
you'd use that?
No, I wouldn't. You want me to give you an example, right?
I want a voicemail. Yeah, okay, because you said that you have to distinguish yourself in 30 seconds. Sure. I'm wondering if you do it on the voicemail.
30 seconds on a live call and less than 60 on a voicemail for sure. If you aren't timing your voicemails, you should be occasionally knowing how long they are, script them out. But when they're over 40, right at that 45 to 60 mark, man, you got to be wrapping up. So I'll do something like this. Hey, Jeremy Sisemore, SAP Talent. I'm sure you've heard of our firm, one of the top SAP firms in the country. We would love to have a quick conversation with you about what you're looking for in your next move. A lot of times people aren't even looking right now, and I get that. We just like to know if there's a certain opportunity we run across in the next 5 years, what kind of position would you want us to proactively call you about? And it takes a quick 15 to 20-minute call to do that. My number is. So that could be one example. You got to build some element of credibility that you're awesome at whatever it is that you do and what they do.
You said you're using InMail, you're using email, you're using voicemail, live calls.
Yep.
How many times will you approach this person? If you leave a voicemail, you don't get a reply. Will you leave a second voicemail or a third?
Not on everybody, but ones that a lot of times those of us that, let's say you have 100 people on your deal, and you're going through it, and you know that there's 10 that, oh, my God, if I can just get them, that's a placement waiting to happen. They're that good. They're in the right location. You know you've seen their LinkedIn profile. You just haven't communicated with them, but you know that that's the person. Those I will call up to 3 times in about a week and a half. The voicemails change. The second one might say, hey, look, man, I emailed you. I called you. I haven't heard from you. I know I'm really hard to get a hold of. I'm going to email you one more time. Can you email me and let me know a good time that we can get on each other's calendar? Close for action, even in voicemails or emails. It's all about getting set up. Be respectful of people's time. A lot of times we catch them off guard. But get really good at scheduling calls. You can get really good at scheduling more calls, even if it's tomorrow or the next day. A lot of recruiters do not even have 15 live calls in a day. And you'll ask a rookie, how many calls do you think you made today? And tenured people know that they always guess that wrong. What do you think your connect time was? They always guess it wrong, don't they? They're always way off, right? Thinking it's more than it is. Same thing on live calls. They think that they're in a lot more live calls than they are. It's a voicemail business. So if you don't get really good at closing for action, scheduling calls and getting people on the phone, you're going to just be average or worse.
Okay. Now, I have to admit something at this point in the show, that I screwed up at the beginning by asking him about his marketing techniques for his own. The stuff I read on LinkedIn and on his website, I challenged him about that. I don't like the answers I got, but he's given great answers to the more practical, hands-on recruiting questions. Now, some people are saying they don't like using the phone anymore. They like making their initial approach by email. Do you endorse that?
To me, whether one's first or second is a little bit irrelevant, but I love emails to make a call less cold and more warm. For example, we might do an email blast to 100 people that we want to go after for an opportunity, and then the script can say something like, hey, I just sent you an email. Did you get that? If you catch them live, and it's instantly warm. Oh, you sent me an email, so you must know me. You know my email. Let me go and look real quick. But it's a warmer call. It engages them in conversation. Where a lot of times people get shut down really quickly. But if you can use an email to set up a call, you still got to set the call up, and you still got to try to get them. And if you get voicemail, say, I sent you an email. The subject line was boom. Would love for you to take a quick look at that and see if I can get on your calendar for 15 minutes.
You'll send the subject line boom, B-O-O-M?
No, I don't put that in the subject line. Maybe I misspoke. The subject line could. Oh, okay. I don't remember saying boom, but you put the subject line could be whatever. If people on this call aren't intelligent enough to figure out what your subject line should be, that's a whole other call.
Are you running the risk when you call somebody, you say, hey, I just sent you an email about XYZ. Did you get that? So when the answer is no, haven't you painted yourself into a little bit of a corner there by opening that way?
I don't know about that. You're in the day and age of spam filters and whatnot. It's a good opportunity to get your damn email right. Oh, you didn't? Well, what's your email? You know, these are basic recruiting skills from 20 years ago. Get the right contact information for the people you deal with. Get Yahoo and Gmail when you can, because that doesn't change. Work emails change all the time.
I'm not saying that they physically didn't get it. I'm just saying if the answer is no, haven't you painted yourself into a corner by giving them an opportunity to just say no?
That would bounce off of me like water off a windshield, man. I'd be like, oh, okay, well, let me tell you why I was calling. I wouldn't even think twice about that. And, you know, people that apologize when they call, this happens all the time. People want to apologize. Hey, I'm sorry I caught you at a bad time. I know it's a bad time. Stop apologizing. They'll tell you if it's a bad time. I don't understand why people call and then say they're in a meeting. Really? You're in a meeting and yet you answered my phone call? They're lying to you guys. They're just looking for reasons to shut you down. You know, I mean, we need to grow a backbone in this industry and just say, you know, and it's great. If you're in a meeting, great. When's a good time for me to call you tomorrow? And schedule it right then and there. If they had enough time to pick up the phone, they got enough time to talk for 120 seconds. Schedule a call. A lot of us people in our industry just let people shut them down right and left, and they just buy it, hook, line, and sinker.
Will you call somebody back? Someone who shuts you down today, will you call them back next week? Say, hey, I spoke to you last week. You weren't interested. I'm trying you again.
No,
will you do that?
No. If I have a live conversation with someone and they've shut me down, then, hey, I've given it my best effort. I'm not here to waste my time. I got better things to do than that. But I will tell you this. People that get shut down from non-decision makers and then move on are making mistakes. Don't let a non-decision maker shut you down. Go around them. What do you got to lose? You don't have that client anyway. Go hire. Now, once a real decision maker in our industry, it could be a CIO, could be a VP of HR, could be an SAP director. If they shut you down on a live conversation and you've done your best, then plant the seed for future business and check in, you know, call them maybe another 4 to 6 months from now with a real candidate, with something that's of value to them. We don't do the check-in calls.
The show's so much fun now. I screwed it up at the beginning. I'm feeling bad. Now, listen, you say one of the things you like to talk about is the key traits or common characteristics of a big biller. Is that something you could deliver now in a few minutes? Go ahead.
Yeah. I think you know, what everybody knows that I'm going to say is the low patience, the extroversion, right? The old the 4-quadrant graph. Yeah, most big billers are low patience. They usually are extremely extroverted type A types. No doubt about that. Most of us are disorganized, you know, and then, you know, a lot of the trainers in the industry go around and talk about planning your day and planning your day and planning your day. Hey, planning it's important, but I will tell you, a lot of big billers don't have a plan worth a damn.
Can I throw in a little secret here?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not saying I'm a big biller. I've been accused of being a big biller. I'm not saying I am. I haven't had a plan in like 7 or 10 years.
You and me both.
No,
you and me both. I mean,
because I know in my mind what needs to go down today, and that stuff is at the top of my mind. I can't shake it. I can't go to bed without thinking about what I need to do tomorrow. I don't have to write it down. I know it. I own it.
Jerry, that is a trait of big billers. So people talk about keeping stuff closest to the money.
I've got a shot at this then. Thank goodness.
Yeah, you have a shot, Jerry.
I'm going to stick with it.
Keeping it close to the keeping it closest to the money. You know, people talk about that, and but I think big billers, they do know what are the 10 to 20 things I have to do today. So interview debrief calls, interview prep calls, pushing process, right? And I think that great recruiters are better on the front end of this whole cycle than the average ones. Now, the number one biggest difference to me in people that bill $500,000 and ones that bill $200, or a $200 from a $100, or one that just gets fired,
$55,
or gets fired, yeah, right, don't even make it, is that they're working on crap. So if there was one thing that I think a great big billers do is they understand that their time is worth money and they protect it, like they protect their own time. So you can't just work these vendor relationships with HR where they send you a piece of paper and you never even get to talk to the real hiring authority at all and expect to make money very often. Now, a blind squirrel finds an acorn. That happens. But a lot of times there's 5 to 10 different firms on that. That's sitting in dirty bathwater. And then what they put on that piece of paper, a lot of times that's about 50% of what they really want. And the hiring authority has all these other ideas when you finally qualify. Those of us that talk to real hiring authorities know exactly what I'm talking about. You get all this stuff that's not on this piece of paper, right? And you can at least understand how many firms are on this and why is it open. And have you excluded internal promotions on this deal? And then, but the flip side of that is people working on these jobs for a week or two. The client doesn't even respect them enough to even call them to say that they internally promoted someone. That they didn't even tell them on the front end when they sent that over that they already had 10 people in play before they even started.
But you've got that same recruiter is so scared of rejection.
Yeah.
If they're not even going to ask the tough questions, they're just going to keep working and piling resumes on and keeping their finger crossed. Poor SAP.
Yeah.
Okay, so the questions, hold on. So your big questions are you going to promote internally? Is there a chance of that? How many other recruiters are working on the position? Have you seen any candidates already? Is anybody in the running? Any other questions that people don't ask that you think are important?
Yeah, we go a lot further. I want you to ask hiring authorities when the role needs to be filled by and go backwards. So if it needs to be filled by then, that means you need to be at offer stage by here. So if you need to be at offer stage by there, that means you need to be interviewing here. And it takes about a week to recruit. I want you to talk them backwards and get them to do preset interview times. Well, and understand, I had one in my office that went out and recruited for 2 weeks, and the hiring authority was in India. In India for 2 weeks. He couldn't even interview. And I'm like, on a contingency basis, who has all the risk? All the risk. You do. Your time and energy, you cannot get it back. You got about 48 weeks in a year, assuming you got 3 to 4 weeks of vacation, and you can work on how many in a week? 1 or 2 searches. It is critical to choose the right position to actually recruit on and to know where you stand with your client, okay? And so asking all those questions, and if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want a retainer, start asking for them. You want exclusivity, start asking for it. At least understand how many other firms are on that and how many people are already in play on it. Where are they at? What do you like about the people you've looked at so far? Is there any that you've seen that you wanted that you tried to make an offer to and they turned it down? Can I see a copy of the resume? What is the common theme of – a lot of times we get a search, right, and they've already interviewed people for the last 90 days and none of them are a right fit. What is the common theme of why people keep getting ruled out? What are you hearing over and over and over again from your hiring authority? Make sure you understand, is the money right in the market? Is it a major market or a really small town that no one's ever heard of? Is there relo or not relo? But there's like at least 10 to 15 factors you would look at to really grade a search assignment.
So let's say I give you a job for a plant manager in Lebanon, Missouri, or someplace like that. It's
I would never recruit for a place in Lebanon, Missouri.
Yeah, I went to University of Missouri. I know it well. I'd stay away.
You know what I'm saying, Animal?
I know exactly what you're saying, Jerry. But you'd actually say Lebanon. Like, well, how would you walk out of that one if you're talking? Yeah, Jeremy, I got a search for you. I'm having trouble filling it, and you say you're really good at hard to fill things. It's in this little neglected plant in Lebanon. Well, what would you say? Well, thanks, but no thanks.
Mike Kittleson was a multi-million-dollar biller for KBIC, Jeff K's office, and over $1 million, like 10 years in a row, right? And Mike Kittleson said when a hiring authority tried to sell him on how great a job order like that was, he'd go, "Don't sell me your smoking turd." That was his one-liner. That was his one-liner. Don't sell me your smoking turd.
But can I add something here, though, Animal? If I recall the particular example that you're using, this Lebanon, Missouri, wasn't that more or less right at the very darkest part of our recession? Wasn't that during a time where, frankly, anybody was happy to have any job order? So it's not that you're going to stack that in with 10 other hot, urgent, got-to-fill-this-week positions. If that's your only one, you telling me you aren't going to work it like it's your day job? Isn't it about supply and demand, prioritizing? You take it out this isolated recruit for Lebanon, Missouri. If that's the only company that said that they'll pay you money to recruit for them, that's the one you're working on.
Things can change in a recession, to Jerry's point. And you should have lots of jobs so you can stack rank the best ones, right? 80-20 rule. What are the best searches you have and work on the right ones? But he's right. I used to say if that's your only job order, it's your best job order. I used to say that, right? But I've actually rethought that, Jerry. I think you're better off to do nothing but biz dev with a great MPC than to work a really crappy JO.
Dude, I tell you, we were in such an anomaly of a marketplace, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whenever that was. I'm just saying. You got a little bit of perspective on the question would help. That's all I was saying.
No doubt.
I wasn't saying
I do think it changes with the economy a little bit, but right now most of us are in a pretty good economy, unless you're in oil and gas. But I do agree with this. Do lots of biz dev. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. You should stack rank your jobs.
All your business development is marketing most valuable candidates. Is that what you said?
No, we do a lot of that. It still works to this day. I mean, it's 2015. It still works, no doubt about it. We do all kinds of things. We do an SAP focused compensation market intelligence report, and so we do a lot of brand building, sending that out to VPs of HR, CIOs, VPs, directors. We put a lot of money into SEO and marketing, but we also occasionally just know that I don't have a great MPC and they have a role that is exactly like what we do. In those scenarios, we build it right into our voicemail and email of the exact searches we've done exactly like that are near them or in a similar industry. And we springboard off our success and we drop names. We tell them, hey, we've placed that exact role with ABC Company over there in Chicago literally 90 days ago. Because of that search, I'm literally working with people right now in Chicago that would be interested in that role. Can we talk? So, yeah, springboard off your success, basically.
Okay, I guess this has to be the last question. You said you love talking about how our industry is super competitive, but in my opinion, it isn't that hard to be in the top 10%.
Yeah, and it's for a lot of the reasons that we've been talking about for the last hour. It's super competitive because it's super competitive because of how many there are. Yeah, people define competitive as there's lots of them. There's lots of recruiters. We know that. Everybody on this call knows that. Lots of recruiters out there.
That's a good point.
There aren't very many that are very good, is my point. People that have real training, that take it as a career, not a job, that want to become a market master in any industry, whatever it is. You could just study an industry for 90 to 180 days and start to get it. I mean, I built 400 my rookie year, and I didn't have a client on day one. I had to do the full desk. And that was the year 2000. So people can do it, but you have to take it seriously as a career. And the other thing is, you will be treated the way you allow yourself to be treated. So if you want to be a vendor, and to go do that thing and jump through the vendor hoops and sign their agreement with the net 90 pay terms, right, with the 6-month candidate ownership for the 18% fee because that's our vendor agreement, then you'll just be treated the way that you're allowing yourself to be treated. And so go and set up partnerships if you want to be more consultative, if you want to be treated more like a Deloitte or an IBM or an Accenture, if you want to be treated like a professional services firm versus a transactional car salesman type of a sales firm, there's two different things going on right now, and our industry is at a paradigm shift of you just want to be a transactional, like I'm going to do buzzword matching and try to throw crap against the wall and see what sticks kind of a firm, or you're going to really become a market master, become an industry expert, and do really good things.
Let me just do one follow-up there. You've got just a basic liberal arts degree, I think, with a major in sociology. You're not an engineer or anything like that. So buzzwords must be pretty important to you. Am I mistaken about that?
That is true. You have to. But you have to know what they actually mean. There's a lot of recruiters in my industry in SAP. If the buzzword's on the dang resume, they think that's good and send them in. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going on in the industry. IT is a highly jargonized industry. You have to learn.
Okay, if he was an engineer, that's the point. Hold on. There's a basic question. They say that, I hire people who've got, a background in that field, professional background in that field. Okay, Jeremy, I didn't enjoy the first half hour. I take responsibility for that. I'm really enjoying this now. I'm sorry that we have to end it, but thanks very much
Jeremy.
for coming on.
Yeah, okay. Great hour. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it, Animal. Definitely come on again. Thanks, guys.
Okay, great. Take care.
All right, bye. Yeah, bye.
How were the goldfish?
They were all right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Fattening. I'm really wanting to just once again cut out all the processed grains and breads and stuff. That's the quickest way to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
There's not really much to add to this. It was a great show. That guy knows
he
what
really
he's doing.
warmed up. He really warmed up. It was nice.
Yeah. Once you get past this rudimentary, I think really the focus needs to be on Animal needs to change his approach, his format. I
don't know. He wasn't answering questions directly at first.
It's going to hell. The first 10 minutes of every show is trying to pull it out of the ditch and get it on the road. He's starting the show off in the hole. And that's where his focus needs to be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes of the show.
He thinks it's cool to do this stupid song thing. Nobody wants to do that. He starts by badgering the guy into a corner. Nobody wants to have to come out swinging. They're learning the ropes of the show, and Animal's in their face.
Interesting point. I think the first 15 minutes can be slow for some people.
It's always slow. It's almost like the guy or the gal, whoever the guest is, has to break through with such an overwhelming, almost an epiphany of expertise that some guests do, and some just really don't.
Never recover.
So so Animal's going to just berate those people into oblivion. Animal needs to regroup.
I don't know about. I think you're being a little bit overly harsh, but I think there's something to it where you say that putting people on their heels from the outset is tough.
Hey Alejandro, you're in New York, right?
That's where I'm at.
Man, I need a couple front end software developers there, contractors, consultants.
Oh yeah.
You ever have any of those guys run across your desk? I need two of them bad.
I actually have somebody who I've helped with some of his recruiting, who that's like his niche now. He's going nuts with front end people. I'll make a phone call. Let's talk after the show, and I'll make a phone call and see what you're looking for.
Well, you guys know how to find me, but I gotta get back to work.
Are you looking for JavaScript?
No, I'll talk to my recruiter that's working on it.
Uh-huh.
It's the whole front to back end thing. So it's, they're a .NET shop. They use PHP. They use a little bit of all of it.
Okay.
So I'll send you some notes on it.
WPF, WCF type stuff.
Yeah, I'll send you everything that I've got shortly.
Yeah. All right.
All right, everybody, have a great day, because I got to get back to work, man. I'm just swamped. But I thought it was a great show. Later.